On his show from 10 o'clock, and it's a very big issue, something we talked about actually so many times over the last couple of years, and I do feel a bit ashamed that actually I've left this topic a little bit more. I kind of thought that we kind of resolved a lot of the issues with care homes, but we have not. Today it's been the announcement as of Monday, care home residents will be entitled to an unlimited number of visitors, and we're not talking about a party turning up, we're talking about the right to actually see if you've got a partner and 3 children, all of them, and not just 3 of those. There was a limit, and previously it had been just 1. Before that, of course, no right to seeing anyone at all. But we know that even with that change in the rules, as we end Plan B in England, we have still got many, many care home residents who are not seeing their loved ones. Let's talk to Diane Mayhew, who's the co-founder of Rights for Residents, the campaign to end the extraordinarily harsh and cruel visiting restrictions in care homes during the pandemic. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia.
So appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much indeed. You and your fellow founders of Rights for Residents done such amazing work to try and help so many families and residents. Just talk about the restrictions that we've had at the moment, the ones that the government is changing, and what difference that will make.
Well, we hope it'll make a difference. I mean, we woke up this morning to the news that it will be unlimited visiting from now on, which is a huge step forward and one that we've been campaigning for. Our members have been writing to their MPs in droves asking for this. So we're glad that we've actually been listened to. The issue we've got now, we don't want to not celebrate what we've achieved, because this is huge. And after 2 years of campaigning, we do need to celebrate.
It is extraordinary how long it has taken. Now, again, the thing is, all of this was done in the name of protecting people in care homes, most vulnerable people, and yet we saw, wasn't it, something like 25% of deaths actually happen, certainly in the first wave in care homes. We've been seeing problems again, and the idea was, we need to limit the number of people who are coming in and out of care homes. But even once we had people producing negative COVID tests, once the residents and the family members were double jabbed, even then we still didn't see all of those restrictions taken away, ignoring the reality that for many residents in care homes, certainly those with dementia, actually it is the visits from their family, that seeing them and being touched by them and cared for by them is what has been keeping them alive and giving them a point to living, and also ignoring the fact that that actually those family members have actually been their carers, and simply care home staff, there aren't enough of them to do the work that needs to be done in a care home without those loved ones visiting.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been saying all along, that if only they could see the relatives as a huge benefit rather than an enemy, who can actually help feed their loved one, help, entertain them. Because right now, Julie, you're right, the staff shortages are huge. And, they've all on trying to provide basic personal care. When we used to go in and see Jean, we did used to feed her, we used to make sure she took her fluids, we'd show her photos, we'd listen to music, but I swear the buzzers were going off all over the place and the staff were run ragged then. So, whilst, we do have to still be wary, obviously. Relatives, and I know you've said this so many times, Julia, are hardly likely to want to take COVID into a
I mean, this is it. I can't think of a group of people who were being more careful than they could possibly have been. We're talking about people who were basically self-isolating at home for a week or two, taking a test, and then coming in, taking another test, wearing PPE, doing everything they could to protect. Why on earth would they want to put their loved one at risk? And again, your mum, Jean, of course, very sadly died during this whole pandemic. She died in August last year, and you got to spend so much less time with her in the last months, the last couple of years, than you would otherwise been able to do. You used to go in all the time.
Exactly. And that's why, it's so important, because many of our members are suffering from PTSD because of this, because they've been deprived of that meaningful contact. And, to be fair, Julia, the government are fully aware that the Omicron it's been a lot milder than they expected. And we've had Oxford scientists coming out and saying that the excess deaths in care homes now have been through thirst, starvation, loneliness and isolation. So, it's so important. But what we're worried about now, in all honesty, is that the isolation period the government has said have changed to 14 days from 28. That had already actually happened.
Yeah.
But we're hearing that there are rolling outbreaks. Now, currently, staff only have to isolate for 5 days. If they test negative on the 5th and 6th day, they can return to a care home to work, providing personal care. So why on earth are residents being told that they still have to isolate for 14 days without visits?
Yeah, and let's talk about the reality of that. We are talking about, so they haven't got, these residents, they haven't got COVID. They're not ill themselves.
Exactly.
They've come into contact with a carer who has tested positive, who then 5 days later, next day they test negative. They're able to come back to work. Those residents are kept in isolation in their own room and are able to leave their own room at all, even like to have a communal meal or anything, even though they're testing negative for COVID, and their family members are not allowed to see them for those 2 weeks, even though they tested negative for COVID. I mean, it's not just mad; it's cruel.
It's illogical.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical, but it has changed in terms of the guidance, not guidance anymore, but the outbreak management now says that the resident, if they test positive on day 5 and 6, they can come out of their room now. So that's a small step forward. Yeah. But if that's the case, then why can't relatives go back in? Staff are going in.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to us at all. And we're hearing that there are rolling outbreaks, because don't forget that if another member of staff tests positive during that 14 days, rolls on for another 14 days. Yeah. We could be in this situation for weeks on end. They don't have that time.
No, exactly. And we know, as you say, it's starvation again, because they've simply haven't got someone sitting there for 2 hours gently feeding them. It's a slow process, a lot of these elderly people, and giving people a reason to live when they've got dementia. Look, Diane, you lost your mum, but you're still fighting for other people to be with their loved ones. I just think you're one of the heroes, absolutely one of the heroes of this pandemic, trying to fight for just sanity and kindness to matter more than the rules. Co-founder of Rights for Residents, Diane Mayhew, thank you so much for joining us.